Part 83. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shiyu Buletin Chigwa. Chapter 828. The fourth prince is a player. When this idea came to mind, the Chinese man with the ID Fang Xiu immediately felt his scalp numb, and he felt thunder roaring in his mind, which made his brain go blank. Especially when their eyes met, a chill surged from his toes to Tianling Gai, making his hair stand on end. This news is amazing. The mysterious existence that Western ghost masters are looking for turns out to be the fourth prince of the Eli Empire, who has been hotly discussed in recent times. In his opinion, this was impossible to happen. Without him, this level of status is too noble. Even if this fourth prince has always been regarded as a playboy and incompetent in the hearts of the people of the kingdom, he is still a prince after all, and his starting identity is completely different from that of other players. No matter how unbearable a prince is, he cannot be matched by ordinary people. No wonder horror games say they destroy the balance of the game. This step is directly a dimensionality reduction blow. If the horror game hadn't given them the permission to become stronger and hide the player's identity, once they appeared in front of the fourth prince, their identities would be exposed instantly, and there would be no gaming experience at all. But in order to find this mysterious existence, they have automatically exposed the player's identity, which is equivalent to walking directly from the dark to the bright side. Now it seems that this plan is extremely stupid. If he hadn't known that Adolf was a 5-star player in the Western Holy See, he might have suspected that this person was an undercover agent of the Dragon Kingdom. This is also the time he finally knew why the fourth prince could develop a flintlock gun and even take out a rocket launcher. Think of this. The Chinese player with the ID Fang Xiu trembled. Wearing a chef's hat, he lowered his head immediately, not daring to look directly into the eyes of the fourth prince, as if he thought that this way he would not be noticed. See this. Shen Jian just glanced at it. A ban passed. He also ordered the ghost mayor to take him down. Subsequently, he entered the Duke's palace. His eyes fell on the scarlet panel that popped up. Branch Task 3, Become Famous, completed. Task requirements: obtain the support of 3 count or above nobles. Current goal, 8/3. Note, the player has exceeded the target, has triggered the Dungeon Terminator title effect, and the reward has been distributed. Reward for destroying the plot: initial favorability add 30. Scope of application: Southern Territory. Shen Jian was not in a good mood. This copy Terminator title works really well. Just by capturing Eagle City and gaining the support of the 8 largest nobles in the south, he received an initial favorability add 30 reward. Even though it only increased his favorability by 30 points, this was applicable to the entire Southern Territory, and the entire Southern Territory residents maintained a favorable impression of him in the friendly stage, which meant that the resistance he encountered in unifying the Southern Territory would completely disappear. If it took him more than half a year to integrate the power of the Southern Territory before, then under the effect of the initial favorability add 30, it will take less than a month for him to truly own the territory of the Southern Territory and become the well-deserved ruler of the Southern Territory, with a status comparable to that of a small emperor of the land. But this can only be regarded as the icing on the cake for Shen Jian. After all, his vision is not limited to the southern border. Adults, of course, want them all. The southern border, the eastern border, the western border, the northern border, and even the entire kingdom are within his scope. He wants 99 points of the world of Eli Empire. Just thinking about it? New panel prompts flashed before him. It has been detected that the player has overcompleted the branch task and a new branch has been opened. Branch Task 4, Unify the Southern Territory. Content: a qualified lord of the Southern Territory will have unimpeded instructions and be supported by countless people in the territory. He can live a life of luxury and wealth just by brushing his face. Task requirement: cover more than 90% of the southern territory with reputation. Note, this branch task is unlimited until the end of the king trial. Take a look. Shen Jian withdrew his gaze. This branch task is not difficult, but it does take time. What he lacks most now is time. There was no way he could wait for branch task 4 to be completed before making other plans. In that case, he would need to stay in this copy for 3 months or even more than half a year. This was not what he expected. Look at it this way. He needs to transcend the thriller game and occupy the other 4 realms. Certainly. The final siege of the city still has to be left to the border town, so as not to waste time or violate the restrictions of the thriller game. After pondering for a moment, Shen Jian looked at the ghost scribe Kali Tir beside him and asked, "Where is the next door to the southern border?" "The eastern territory is the territory under the rule of the second prince." Kali Tir explained, when the second prince was dispatched, he had a close relationship with the Duke of the East. Through operations, he was sent to the richest territory in the east, a 5-star supernatural land under the rule of a marquis. He also gained the support of the Duke of the East, and in the second year of the king trial, he expanded his jurisdiction to 1/3. He had a ghost knights under his command, numbering as many as 3,000, and was once I think it's only a matter of time before we win the king's trial. Speaking of which. She hesitated for a moment, as if she wanted to say something. Shen Jian smiled, stretched out his hand to tuck her hair that was hanging around her eyes behind her ears, and said, "There is nothing to avoid between you and me. You can say whatever you want. You know, I can't live without you. Hear this." Ghost clerk Kali Tir's heartbeat quickened and he subconsciously glanced at Shen Jian. What does the 4th prince mean? Is the relationship between them so close? But, looking at Shen Jian's sincere eyes, she lowered her head in a panic, as if a deer was pounding in her heart. If there was a mirror at this time, she would definitely see a blush on her face. I don't know if His Royal Highness the 4th Prince saw it. For a long time. Only then did she readjust her thoughts, and said shyly and worriedly, "Your Highness, you must be careful of other princes and princesses. Now you are the confirmed lord of the Southern Territory, and you have basically locked up the final victory in the king's trial. The other princes and princesses are now the only thing that can be done is to muddy the water in the Southern Territory and plunge the Southern Territory into chaos, so that they can have a chance. And the Southern Territory borders the Eastern Territory, and the Eastern Territory is the second prince's territory. He will definitely use any means to cause massacres in the Southern Territory, whether by killing people, poisoning, or bewitching people's hearts, especially since the second prince has 3,000 ghost knights under his command. Their actions are efficient, and if you want to guard against them, you need to prepare in advance. Hear the words." Shen Jian nodded slightly. There was no trace of surprise on his face. 100% what Kali Til said will come true. This is inevitable. If he were another royal heir, after hearing that a prince had secured victory, his first thought would be to sabotage it. But you can only be a thief for 1,000 days, but there is no way to prevent a thief for 1,000 days. The best defense is offense. Instead of defending against others, it is better to directly destroy the enemy from the root. It is very consistent with his idea of unifying the 4 realms in advance and ending the trial for the king. Think of this. Shen Jian's eyes showed a little excitement. Think about it? He asked, "Do you know the composition of the nobility in the Eastern Territory and the distribution range of the second prince's influence?" The ghost scribe Kali Tir felt a thump in his heart. I always felt that Shen Jian's words would mean nothing good. The last time this happened, the 4th prince broke into Erlano's territory alone. Your Highness, don't you think? Be bold, you're not wrong. Shen Jian gave an encouraging approval. Kali Til. She couldn't help but hold her forehead. Your Highness is crazy, what should you do? Quite urgent. Your Highness, are you crazy or am I crazy? You are very strong, but two fists cannot defeat four hands. If you are discovered in the east, everything we have done will be meaningless, and the second prince will not look at it. Since you are his brother, I will let you go. The ghost secretary's tone became a little higher. Strongly discouraged. However, Shen Jian has made up his mind. Waving his hands, he said, "Tell me the specific information and I will take care of it. I don't have so much time to guard against the conspiracies of so many people. The best way is to directly neutralize them." The ghost clerk choked. But think about it. This is really the style of the fourth prince. From the Earl of Ano to the Duke of Elk, the fourth princes all behaved in this way. And it turns out that this approach does work. Immediately, she was the one who sighed and said, "I don't know much, but in the first year of the King trial, I once inquired about the intelligence of the Eastern Territory. The division of power in the Eastern Territory is very different from that of the Southern Territory. The Southern Territory is an autonomous region for nobles. And the Eastern Territory established a noble Freemasonry, and nobles of all sizes joined it, adopting a 10-person system to formulate the development strategy of the Eastern Territory. In other words, without these 10 directors, in a short time within, the Eastern Territory will be paralyzed. Of course, the second prince is also a factor that cannot be ignored. He has gathered the voice of many small nobles, and has the support of the Duke of the Eastern Territory. He has a lot of talking power in the Freemasonry. He wants to disrupt the Eastern Territory and make it give up this. It was decided that at least half of the people would not be able to attend." Shen Jian understood. To put it simply, it is a company's shareholding system. What he has to do is prevent other directors from attending the meeting. False war, strategic competition, strategizing, making decisions before taking action. Real war, kill all your senior leaders, and you will never be able to successfully pass a decision in this life. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Yu Buletin Chi Gua. Chapter 829. Chapter 821 Perfect Heroine the Great Princess. Southern Border Duke's Mansion. Shen Jian stood in front of the floor-to-ceiling window, recalling the information Kali Tir said in his mind. The system in the Eastern Territory is cleaner than that in the Southern Territory. The Southern Territory is wild, and the level of management of the territory depends entirely on the care and attention of the local nobles. The Eastern Territory has a share responsibility system. 10 directors elected by nobles of all sizes are responsible for coordinating the development plan of the entire territory. The advantage is that it develops rapidly, but the disadvantages are also very obvious. Once a disagreement occurs or a wrong decision is made, it will affect the stability of the entire territory. And Shen Jian also discovered a loophole. That is, once these 10 directors all disappear, the entire Eastern Territory will be paralyzed in an instant. Let alone decision-making, the internal fighting alone will be overwhelming. Think of this. A hint of excitement appeared on Shen Jian's face. In his opinion, the nobles in the Eastern Territory should also know the loopholes of the system, but in reality, this is not really a big problem at all. After all, those who can be elected to office are either the top ghost kings who dominate the area, or the knights who have great reputation in the local area. The level of terror for such an existence cannot be much lower. If you want to get rid of 10 directors at once, not many people in the entire Ili Empire can do it. Therefore, even if there are problems with Freemasonry, no one takes it seriously. Just thinking about it? The ghost scribe Kali Tir pushed in the door again. "Your Highness, your plan is likely to be temporarily shelved." Shen Jian? He was stunned for a moment. What happened? The eldest princess arrived. I guess it was the eldest prince who took action first. The eldest princess is a member of the Belkia family, one of the four holy families. She has a noble status and is the wife of the eldest prince. She is here this time. I'm afraid I want to put pressure on you through the Duke Elk matter. The ghost secretary curled his lips. She and the eldest princess belong to the same generation, but she is a few years older than her. When they were in the royal city, the two were often compared. One is the daughter of a duke of the Cali family. One is the daughter of a duke from the Belchia family. In some ways, the two were even rivals. However, after the eldest princess married the eldest prince, such comparisons became less common. Because she lost. At that time, the eldest prince, as the most likely to become the crown prince and the orthodox heir to inherit this huge ghost kingdom, was the dream lover of many noble ladies in the capital. Everyone was speculating on who had this honor to become the future prince. The queen. Just a year ago, the answer was revealed. She is the daughter of a duke of the Belchia family. Since then, she has been completely defeated by the other party. Although she had no feelings for the eldest prince, the idea of acquiescing to her complete defeat still bothered her for a while. Now, the eldest princess appeared at the southern duke's mansion and saw that she was heading towards His Royal Highness the fourth prince, which made her so happy. Hear the words. Shen Jian said nothing. Invite the so-called eldest princess in. The crisp sound of footsteps rang out. A beautiful shadow comes one after another. Shen Jian looked around and saw that this beautiful figure was wearing a purple halter neck satin dress with slits on both sides of the skirt. As he walked, the long white legs on both sides were exposed from time to time. Although the buttocks were covered by the fabric, the outline is faintly visible. Further up, there is a high bridge of nose and radiant green gem eyes. The facial features are not as straight as the ghost secretary. There is always a curve in the corner of the eye, giving people a very unique affinity, which makes people just look at it. I feel that the other party is an easy woman to get along with. Her long black hair was tied up, showing her status as a married woman. Whether it is appearance or figure, she already has a somewhat mature style. Princess Aina Ya. Level, Top Ghost King. Introduction, the daughter of the Duke of the Belchia family, one of the four holy duke families in the Eli Empire, is the legendary child of another family. She knows how to advance and retreat, understands propriety, has the talent to stick to the rear, and has a full sense of justice in her heart. She treats people sincerely, but, due to her own supernatural influence, it is not easy to trust others. Her friendship is limited to the surface, and she only hates others lying to her. Current status, curious, serious, defensive. Favorability, 6, initial. Looking at the favorability panel display, Shen Jian paused, a little surprised in his eyes. This is such a perfect harrowing character. She has strength, background, ability, sense of justice, and can treat others sincerely. This combination is simply the perfect image of a goddess that can only be found in dreams. And this woman is his sister-in-law. Think of this. Shen Jian's heart felt a little turbulent, and something strange appeared. As the saying goes, nothing is more delicious than dumplings, and nothing more fun than thinking. The eldest Princess Aina in front of her had already smiled and said, "Your Highness, the fourth prince, it's been a long time. The last time I saw you, you were only 10 years old. Now you have grown so big." Shen Jian. His facial muscles twitched slightly. What's going on with this strong sense of déjà vu as an elder? However, there was a 20-year age difference between him and the eldest prince, and there was a 10-year age difference between him and the eldest princess, so the other party's tone seemed normal. Then, Shen Jian also smiled and said, "My sister-in-law is so funny. I haven't seen you for so many years, but my sister-in-law is so beautiful alone that I can't even recognize her." Hear this. The eldest princess was stunned. Those emerald-like eyes suddenly lit up, and subtle supernatural fluctuations were spreading, the truth. See it? She covered her mouth and smiled. It seems that His Highness has indeed learned a lot in the past 2 years, and he knows how to praise others. Along the way, I kept hearing people talking about His Highness the Fourth Prince. Shen Jian waved his hand. It's just a name, I'm not interested. Princess Aina Ya's emerald eyes lit up again. She was still telling the truth. Seeing the result, this time, she was really surprised. Faced with the adulation and cheers from the entire Southern Territory people, anyone would feel that they are great and become overly inflated, confident, and even arrogant. Even her husband, the great prince, is the same in this regard. Although the words are all false, they are far from enough, but in fact they are all lies. In fact, I don't know how much I enjoy it. However, the current fourth prince was actually telling the truth. He really wasn't interested in these false claims. This is so surprising. You must know that the fourth prince is not as simple as conquering a territory, but is about to become the lord of the Southern Territory, walking in front of all the royal heirs, and is undoubtedly the biggest dark horse in the trial for the king. In this case, almost no one can suppress their joy. No matter how humble he is on the outside, he is still very excited inside. But the fourth prince was actually indifferent to this, which refreshed her understanding of the fourth prince. In contrast, the behavior of her husband, the eldest prince, was a little off the table, and he was undoubtedly a villain who was doing little things behind his back. Certainly. After all, he was her husband, and these words would only rot in her heart. What's more, the fourth prince did kill a duke, which was within the scope of the Belchia family's trial duties. She came here not specifically to stand up for her husband. In this first meeting, she was very satisfied with the fourth prince's performance because she felt the same sincerity. The other side. Shen Jian's eyes moved. Princess Aina Ya. Current status, curious, surprised, relaxed. Favorability, add 10, first acquaintance at 16. See this. Shen Jian also had a smile on his lips. Isn't that just sincerity? He is the worst person who can lie. Judging from the introduction of the favorability interface, the sister-in-law of the princess in front of her is undoubtedly a perfect woman. She hates people lying in front of her and has a natural affinity for sincere people. The reason for this is that the direct bloodline ghosts of the Belchia family are born with special powers, that is, they can distinguish between true and false, whether it is the authenticity of words, the authenticity of items, or various disguise methods. There is nowhere to hide in front of the opponent. Because of this, the princess who possesses this supernatural power has been hearing lies, big and small, since she was a child. This is why she hates people lying in front of her. It is extremely difficult to win the favor of such a female ghost who can tell lies. If you are not careful and say something unreliable, your impression in the eyes of the other person may plummet. No doubt. This is the most difficult female ghost that Shen Jian has encountered. The higher the difficulty, the stronger the sense of accomplishment when harvesting, and the stronger the sense of conquest. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Yubuletin Chigua. Chapter 830. Duke's Palace VIP Room. On the sofa, Shen Jian and the eldest princess Ainaya sat face to face. The ghost scribe Kali Tir stood on the side of Shen Jian, and beside the princess, there was also a female knight wearing silver-white armor, her slightly rough jade hands resting casually on the long sword at her waist. Seems to be on guard against someone. Soon. The lazy and mature countess put 2 cups of tea on the table with graceful steps, showed a charming smile to Shen Jian, and stood on the other side. Carly Till curled her lips, feeling ashamed of the Countess' coquettish behavior. She felt that she could do these things herself. The eldest princess also looked at the Countess, who was going away, with a little surprise. As a top ghost king, her memory is amazing. If she guessed correctly, this should be the first wife of Erlano in the south. She had met the Countess during the engagement ceremony with her husband, the eldest prince, and she was quite surprised by her views on the management of the territory. Why did such a noble lady become the person next to the fourth prince? It seems that the relationship between the two is quite unusual. This discovery reminded her of the various scandals and ridiculous deeds of the fourth prince in the royal city in the past. Thinking, she pushed these thoughts down. Although she is the wife of the eldest prince and the eldest princess of this kingdom, it is obvious that she is not qualified to interfere in the family affairs of other princes. Moreover, she is here today as the legitimate daughter of the Belkia family. To put it mildly, she is here. If you are a villain, it is even less suitable for you to ask questions. Immediately, she got straight to the point. Your Highness, the fourth prince, let me introduce myself again. I am the daughter of the Duke of the Belgia family. Since the founding of the country, the empire has given the Belgia family a sacred privilege, which is to judge the crimes of the nobles. Your Highness has arbitrarily killed a duke without a royal judgment, which has seriously violated the laws of the kingdom. Do you have any explanation for this? If not, I will formally prosecute you, Your Highness, on behalf of the Belgia family imprisonment. Before the royal family and the four holy families make a decision, Your Highness, please stay at the Duke's palace and stop all actions to wait for the verdict. The cold voice echoed in the VIP room. The eldest princess, who had been so friendly just now, showed the solemnity and coldness that a judge should have at this moment. Like a cold-faced Shura. There was nothing human about his face. The rapid change of her expression did not make people feel that this woman's mood was unstable. Instead, it made people feel that the other party was holding on to all this and was deliberately acting cold. In fact, this is indeed the first time that the princess has acted as a judge. Although she was the legitimate daughter of the Belgia family and had the sacred privilege of judging the crimes of nobles, she had never used it once. If it wasn't to help her husband, she might never have to use it once in her life. Hear this. Ghost scribe Kali Tyre frowned slightly. Subconsciously he looked at Shen Jian. In front of this princess, all lies have no place to hide. If you want to defend yourself, you can only tell the truth. And what is the truth? The truth is that Shen Jian killed Duke Elk just to capture Eagle City and occupy the southern border. If he said this reason, he would basically be convinced of the crime. Apparently, this is an unsolvable problem. Telling the truth or telling lies will not work. Once they are divinely judged, they can do nothing during this period. The longer it takes, the more countermeasures other princes and princesses can take, and the advantages gained through hard work will be directly wiped out. To be honest, the eldest prince's hand was indeed stuck on their 7 inches. If one is not handled well, let alone continuing to occupy the other 4 realms, whether the southern realm can be stabilized is a big problem. Kali Tyr thought about it and couldn't find a solution. But she knows. I can't tell the truth right now. Telling the truth means there is no room for relaxation. Although lies will be exposed, at least it delays time. However, the next second, Shen Jian shrugged and said, explanation? I have nothing to explain. Duke Elk asked me to kill him, and I have always been a person who likes to listen to advice, so I naturally did it. Said. Shen Jian took out a tape recorder. What was played inside was the last words that Duke Elk said before he died, Your Highness, kill me if you have the ability. Do you dare? Look, this is his request. I will satisfy him. That's no problem. Shen Jian said casually. Princess. Kali Till. A series of question marks appeared in the eyes of the two people. God has no problem. The other person is obviously speaking harshly and is determined that you cannot kill him. What kind of God-level understanding do you have? I am not sisterly. Your Highness, is your brain circuit so straightforward? The eldest princess blinked her emerald eyes and couldn't bear to hear Shen Jian's words. Because her supernatural power told her that Shen Jian's words were true. This shows that Shen Jian really killed a duke because of this ridiculous sentence. How to judge this? It was a fact that the fourth prince killed a duke, and it was also a fact that Duke Elk personally asked Shen Jian to kill him. Skull hurts. The eldest prince Ine choked, Your Highness the fourth prince, you are sophistry. Duke Elk didn't mean this at all, but it is a fact that you killed a duke. See this. Shen Jian did not refute, but asked, How long will the divine judgment take? At least a month. Shen Jian was startled. Then a weird smile appeared on his face. It turns out it takes so long. You should have told me earlier. Then Shen Jian opened his mouth and said, Okay, whatever my sister-in-law says is whatever she says. I believe she won't cheat in it. Just let me know when the verdict is out. You admit it, the eldest princess was also stunned. My sister-in-law has already concluded that I am guilty, so what else can I say? However, since my sister-in-law is the eldest princess and the wife of the eldest brother, it is natural that she would blame my eldest brother on me. It is not surprising. Shen Jian grabbed the belt stick, his tone full of yin and yang. The eldest princess Ine could not help but raise her eyebrows and said angrily, Your Highness the fourth prince, I am a member of the Belkia family. I will not use the honor of the family to frame others, let alone frame others. For others, the outcome of this matter is absolutely fair and just. In this case, I am still innocent until the result of the divine judgment comes out. I can do whatever I want. Sister-in-law, you have no right to interfere. Shen Jian revealed casually. Really? Hear this. The eldest princess instantly became alert. Is His Royal Highness the fourth prince planning to abscond? Of course not, it's just that you, sister-in-law, also know that I occupied the southern territory and became the target of others' attacks. Let's talk about Brother Er Wang from the eastern territory next door. I got news that Brother Er Wang plans to send his ghost knights to infiltrate the burning, killing, and looting in the southern territory has plunged the southern territory into chaos. As the lord of the southern territory, I naturally cannot allow such a thing to happen. So I plan to take a trip to the eastern territory, to use emotion and reason to dissuade those people from taking action against the southern territory. Shen Jian thought about the purpose of going to the east and spoke seriously. I believe that my sister-in-law wouldn't want to see the southern border fall into chaos. Hear the words. The eldest princess paused. Her delicate little face, lightly painted with powder, was full of tangles. Why did she feel that Shen Jian was being held in high esteem? But what Shen Jian said is not unreasonable. There is already a trend of unification in the southern territory. If other royal heirs do not want to lose, they can only target the fourth prince or the southern territory. Isn't it her husband's plan that brought her here? If the other princes and princesses cannot target the fourth prince, then attacking the southern border is the only option. And she didn't want to see this happen. For a long time. The eldest princess Ine raised her head again. He said firmly, Your Highness, fourth prince, I will go with you, but don't get me wrong. I am not here to help you, but to prevent you from escaping. As soon as these words came out, everyone on the field was shocked. Especially the female knight standing behind the eldest princess, her expression tightened, Princess, this is absolutely impossible. How can you stay alone with the fourth prince? His Highness the eldest prince said. I have made up my mind. You stay here and monitor the others for me. I will be back soon. The eldest princess interrupted. The tone was full of determination. The other side. An imperceptible smile appeared on Shen Jian's lips. It's done. The eldest princess is undoubtedly the most difficult female ghost he has ever seen. If he wants to conquer the opponent, he must not let others be there, otherwise no matter how hard he tries, it will be in vain. Going to the Eastern Territory together is the best time to attack. He likes me the most. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Yu Buletin Chi Gua. Chapter 831. Exited the VIP room. Ghost clerk Kali Tire pursed his lips and said hesitantly, Your Highness, do you really want that woman to go with you? In this case, wouldn't your plan be exposed? She is from the eldest prince's side, no matter whatever you did, she will tell you everything. Her concerns were not unfounded. Although the eldest princess is the legitimate daughter of the Belchia family, she is also the wife of the eldest prince and the influence of her natal family. Now, they have already occupied Eagle City, and it is only a matter of time before they become the lord of the Southern Territory. At this juncture, it is very sensitive for the fourth prince to go to the Eastern Territory, and it can be said that he has not achieved any results. If the top 10 directors of the Eastern Territory noble Freemasonry are really dismantled and the Eastern Territory is paralyzed, then the princess as the party concerned my husband will definitely tell the story. And once it is known, the eldest prince will try to divert trouble to the east, and the conflict between the second prince and the fourth prince will completely become irreconcilable. The revenge of Dongjing and the second prince will be unimaginable. No matter how you look at it, bringing the eldest princess is not a wise decision. What's the difference between this and having a traitor eavesdrop on you when you're discussing a battle plan? Shen Jian did not refute. Because under normal circumstances, this really isn't a good idea. But what Kali Tire didn't know was that he didn't just intend to disintegrate the aristocratic Freemasonry in the Eastern Territory so that its decisions could not be passed. What he really wanted to do was to disintegrate the Eastern Territory. And among them, the second prince was also included. As long as he gets rid of the 10 directors and the second prince who can affect the operation of the Eastern Territory, he can take advantage of the situation to settle in the Eastern Territory. Just like he occupied Eagle City, he will also occupy the headquarters of the Eastern Territory noble Freemasonry. In the shortest time, within a certain period of time, initial control of the Eastern Territory was completed. By then, even if the eldest Princess Ainaya got the news, it was already too late. Not to mention, he can still stir up trouble among the Eastern border group. He learned that the eldest prince and eldest princess had only been married for 2 years. Basically, not long after they got married, they were sent to the western region to participate in the trial for the king. I'm afraid the two of them haven't even met in a serious way many times. It's a business marriage, a strong alliance, and it's unknown how much affection they have. In this case, taking advantage of the situation is undoubtedly the best time. I'm sure. Shen Jian looked calm. Not much explanation. He can't say that he did this for his son. In this super large ghost country with a medieval background, although ethics have never been sound, the behavior of tainting one's own sister-in-law is still despised even when the eldest prince is not dead. Just be sensible. Here. There is nothing the ghost secretary can do. Many other matters were reported. Your Highness, after these few days of development, the border town has produced more than 300 flintlock guns. After occupying Eagle City, the ghost town mayor gathered ghost craftsmen from all over the country as quickly as possible. So far, the number of craftsmen we have has exceeded 300. At this rate, we can produce nearly 1,000 flintlock guns a day. Speaking of which, the ghost secretary's tone seemed much lighter. 1,000 flintlock muskets a day, 10,000 in 10 days. In just 10 days, they can arm a team of firearms capable of sweeping across the 4 realms of the kingdom. This kind of progress would make anyone crazy. She is no exception. Shen Jian also nodded. There was a little emotion in his eyes. War is indeed the fastest mode of plundering. With the size of a border town, it would take more than 3 months to arm a modern army of 10,000 people, and even the supernatural materials may not be enough. However, after taking the resources of Eagle City, this time was shortened to 10 days. If we completely control the southern border, we can produce the output of a border town for several months in 1 day. Arm up the team as soon as possible, they will be needed soon. Shen Jian gave instructions. The ghost clerk nodded and left the duke's mansion. Just when Shen Jian was about to go back and continue chatting with this good sister-in-law, in the garden of the duke's palace, a female knight wearing silver-white armor was glancing around furtively. Then he took out a piece of human skin paper from his body and wrote something in blood. Shen Jian was thoughtful. This female knight is the personal bodyguard who follows the princess. He is the prince's man. And from the previous conversation, it can also be heard that this female knight seems to be trusted by the eldest prince and was ordered to protect the eldest princess. Think about it. Shen Jian's lips curled up. The ghost realm unfolded and appeared in front of the female knight. He looked around. This female knight has a beautiful appearance. The close-fitting silver-white armor completely hides her original figure, but her slender figure can be vaguely seen. Her skin was wheat-colored, and the slightly rough arms that were exposed outside the armor were covered with strong muscles, but they did not appear to be knotted, but were just right. There is a primitive beauty. Subsequently, Shen Jian moved his eyes and landed on the human skin paper. This seems to be a supernatural human skin paper that can communicate instantly. Just write the content on it with blood, and the existence of the other holder of the skin paper will be informed. Female knight, Your Highness, what's wrong? The princess is planning to go to the east with the 4th prince privately. The great prince, Eastern Territory, what happened? Female knight, the situation is like this. I tried to stop it, but the princess has made up her mind. Eldest prince, I understand, you don't need to interfere in this matter, otherwise the princess may think that I am overly intervening and monitoring her, but when the 2 of them come back, you need to summarize to me every time they meet. Female knight, yes, Your Highness, and I miss you. Eldest prince, I miss you too. When the trial for the king is over and when I become the crown prince, I will announce to everyone that you are also my princess. Female knight, okay, I believe Your Highness. The conversation lasted less than a few minutes. The female knight put away the human skin paper, and a slight smile appeared on her pretty face. Shen Jian. He stood aside, his eyes widening. Unexpectedly, this was also a potential sister-in-law. The eldest prince's love fortune is quite strong. And the operation is quite cool. He actually asked another woman to supervise the movements of the eldest princess for him. And the technique of painting cakes is simply perfect. Think for a moment. A strange smile appeared at the corner of Shen Jian's mouth. Originally, he was still thinking about how to fan the flames and take the opportunity to deepen the gap between the eldest princess and the eldest prince, causing him to have an emotional crisis. Take a look now. Isn't this a time bomb? If the eldest princess Ainiya knew that her husband was letting others secretly supervise her every move because she didn't trust her, no matter how good their relationship was before, a gap would arise at this moment. When the time comes, if he wields his hoe well, what corner can't be dug down? There is also this female ghost knight with love brain tendencies, which may also be of use. Thoughts are spinning. Shen Jian had some thoughts in his mind. He had a weird expression of impudence on his face. At the same time, Western Territory. Duke's Palace. The eldest prince put down the human skin paper in his hand and received a group of special guests. I heard that you know how to imitate the supernatural weapon in my fourth brother's hand. Is that weapon called a flintlock gun? The words fell. In the reception room, a middle-aged man with brown hair and blue eyes put his hand on his chest, leaned forward and said, "Yes, Your Highness, we know how to make the flintlock gun in the hands of the fourth prince, but we lack the main supernatural materials, and in our hands, there are also supernatural weapons that are more powerful than flintlock guns. As long as His Highness the Great Prince gives us a chance, we can offer them to you. Okay, if you can imitate it, I will reward you greatly. If you can help me become the crown prince, the position of duke is not impossible." The eldest prince clapped his hands. A hint of excitement flashed in the golden pupils. And equally excited was the middle-aged man with brown hair and blue eyes. Above his head, a row of IDs belonging only to the player emerged. Player, Adolf. Level 65. That's right. He is one of the 5-star players of the Western Holy See who entered the copy here. Through the operation of the Viscount Palace, he successfully entered the side of the eldest prince. Next, he only needed to use the resources of the eldest prince to build a flintlock, and he would be able to rise to prominence here. Find out that mysterious existence completely and clear the dungeon. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shiyu Buletin Chigwa. Chapter 832. A few days later. After handling the affairs of the Duke's palace, Shen Jian put down the quill in his hand and faced a stack of documents that he had already browsed. He seemed to be thoughtfully sorting out the information he had read in the past few days. This is already his second time entering the Eli Empire copy. The last time, he successfully became the holy son of Elim Temple as a church priest, making a good start. But he didn't know much about Luo Fengtian's situation. I only know that the Eli Empire has royal power and divine power, and the divine power accounts for a very high proportion. Nearly 2/3 of the people in the kingdom believe in the glorious ghosts and gods to some extent. At the beginning, Shen Jian thought this was very strange. After all, no matter which dynasty it is placed in, the king of a country will not allow a theocratic organization whose prestige exceeds the royal power to appear in the territory under his jurisdiction. There are only two results when this happens. 1. Royal power devours divine power. 2. Fight until death. However, this situation did not hold true in the Eli Empire. Royal power and divine power have reached a strange balance, and they jointly carve up the second land of Luo Fengtian. Now, Shen Jian knew the reason. The Eli Empire cannot defeat the Temple of Elim. Yes. It's that simple. The glorious ghosts and gods are the oldest ghosts and gods in the horror world. They are supernatural spirits born from faith. They have the strength that is infinitely close to the disaster-level ghosts and gods. His strength is completely comparable to that of Emperor Qing in his heyday, and he is a terrifying existence that can overwhelm half of the Eli Empire. As for the royal family of the Eli Empire, the king is not even a world-destroying ghost or god. Compared to the Qing Emperor, who was the only one in the Qing kingdom, the king of the Eli Empire was really too weak. No wonder the four holy families could restrict the royal family. No wonder the nobles in the four major kingdoms had such great autonomy. Even the laws it can all be formulated, the royal family's crotch stretching is the most fundamental reason. If the first Luo Fengtian's Qing kingdom was a completely centralized system, with all power vested in the emperor alone, then the second Luo Fengtian's Eli Empire was a castrated version of the feudal monarchy, with decentralized power. Nobles everywhere became self-reliant. If it weren't for the glorious ghosts and gods and the Elim Temple, this kingdom continent would not be able to compete with the Qing kingdom. Shen Jian pondered for a moment. Looking at it this way, the threat from the royal family is actually not that great. What we really need to pay attention to is the four holy families. There are no world-destroying ghosts and gods in the Eli Empire, but there are multiple ghosts and gods that are infinitely close to this level. The king is one, and so are the 4 divine dukes. And whether there is more in the dark, no one knows. However, Shen Jian speculated that there are probably more than 10 ghosts and gods of this level. Only in this way can one barely fight against a world-destroying ghost and god. In other words, as long as the 4 holy families are on his side, it will be easy to overthrow the king's rule. By then, he can smoothly control the second Luo Fengtian in his own hands without worrying about civil strife, thereby distracting the underworld's energy to maintain its rule. Think of this. Shen Jian's eyes fell on the ghost scribe Kali Tir not far away, and then his eyes glanced slightly and fell on the eldest princess Ania. At the same time, the image of Ghost Duke series flashed in his mind. He has already contacted 3 of the 4 major holy families. Becoming the common son-in-law of the 4 holy families, I wonder if I can get their support? A trace of emotion appeared on Shen Jian's face. Thinking. He looked away. Stand up. Tir, I will leave this place to you in the next few days. I will go to the east to bring love and peace to them. The ghost secretary rolled his eyes at Shen Jian. Love and peace? She now understood a truth. The words spoken from the 4th prince's mouth did not necessarily mean what they meant on the surface. Last time, the 4th prince also said that he would go to Erlano's territory and borrow a few craftsmen to develop it, but the result was that he killed the entire Earl's territory and used naked intimidation and inducement. I'm afraid this love and peace don't mean anything serious. But she didn't say much. Today's 4th prince is no longer the infamous, absurd, and indulgent, useless prince known for his incompetence 10 days ago. Now he is a popular candidate for the crown prince who will kill the Elk Duke, occupy Eagle City, and will soon become the Lord of the South. His instructions are as big as the sky. Soon, Shen Jian left the Duke's mansion. The eldest princess followed closely behind. Perhaps because she knew that this trip was extremely dangerous, today's sister-in-law was wearing a distinctive dark-colored men's clothing with a waist and a horse harness. Only a pair of sickly pale jade arms were exposed from all over her body. There was a handkerchief on her chest. He looked very chic and capable. Only the high bulge of her proud capital and her curvy buttocks made her feminine features unmistakable, adding a bit of seductive charm to her uniform. Shen Jian couldn't help but take a second look. He had only seen such a heroic figure from Ghost Duke Hillis. Even the ghost scribe Kali Til, who is also dressed in men's clothing, cannot display such a temperament. Sister-in-law, you are so beautiful. If it were me, I would definitely not send such a beautiful sister-in-law out to fight alone when the good and evil of others are unknown. Shen Jian laughed and said casually. It's a good thing that I only have respect for my sister-in-law. Otherwise, if it were brother 2 and sister 3, I would have imprisoned you in a dungeon and humiliated you in every possible way to extract more information. Hear this. The eldest princess Aina paused in her steps. The pretty face also changed slightly. Shen Jian seemed to suddenly wake up and said angrily, No, sister-in-law, I didn't mean to say bad things about Brother Wang. Brother Wang may have something to hide. I just feel that if it were me, I would definitely not be willing to let my sister-in-law come out suffer this kind of injustice. While talking, Shen Jian paid attention to the expression of the eldest princess. As expected. Under this rhetoric, the expression of the princess's sister-in-law became even more strange and became a little gloomy. I don't know if I thought of something. Like a child who made a mistake, Shen Jian comforted him with some aggrievement. Sister-in-law, I'm really sorry, but what I said is true. You are the person I respect the most. If Brother Wang makes you suffer any injustice, as for the treatment, I will definitely help you out. Along the way, the eldest princess Aina was not in a high mood, and Shen Jian also comforted her in various ways, and brought out many obscure and bad words about the eldest prince. If Brother Wang doesn't care about you, then someone else will care about you. What, I don't want you to fight because of me. What, sister-in-law is such a good woman, if I were your husband, I would be reluctant to let you suffer. The more he talks, Shen Jian realized more and more that the eldest princess's affection for him began to slowly increase. Although the increase is not much, it has reached 20 points of favorability. To this, the smile on Shen Jian's face became even brighter. Wanting to slander his husband in front of a female ghost who can detect all lies, and also convey his good thoughts about her, is much more difficult than catching a ghost. But the effect is quite good. On this way, Shen Jian soon arrived at the Eastern Territory. According to the Ghost Secretary's information, due to the special division of forces in the East, the top 10 directors of the noble Freemasonry are located in one city, with the city as the core, decentralizing decision-making. And this city is called Winter City. Winter City is the core of power in the East. It has the most powerful foundation in the Eastern Territory. For example, Eagle City, where Duke Elk is located, is the largest territory in the Southern Territory, but after all, only one duke's power is permanently stationed here. The armed force it possesses is not even as large as the 4,000 Expeditionary Army. But Winter City is different. The core of the Eastern Territory is stationed here. In just one city, the garrison strength is more than 30,000. The number of top ghost kings exceeds double digits. Even among ghosts and gods, there are 3 or 4 who live here permanently. In Shen Jian's mind, he immediately recalled the information about the 10 directors. At this time, the eldest princess, who had been in a low mood all the way, suddenly said, "Your Highness, the 4th prince, if you want to interview the 10 directors of the Eastern Territory, you can't attract the attention of the 2nd prince, and you can't show up in Winter City openly and expose your identity. It's even less feasible. If you are willing, it would be best to report in my name." Hear this. Shen Jian was slightly startled. "Think about it," he said with a serious look. "Sister-in-law, what are you talking about? If I use your name to report, what is the effect different from me if I go in person? Once it is used, it will be difficult for you to think of Winter City again. This kind of behavior, what's the difference with Brother Wang? I won't do that." Although he didn't know why the princess in front of him wanted to help him, he would not miss this obvious opportunity to increase his favorability. Not to mention, he had never considered this approach. When he speaks, he is naturally sincere. The eldest princess Aini Ya looked at Shen Jian, her deep emerald eyes lit up slightly. It was true. See this. There was more kindness in her eyes. Favorability add 1. Favorability add 1. Favorability add 1. Without your name and mine, it's not easy to enter the Earl's Palace or the Marquis Palace. How else can you meet these 10 directors? Didn't you say that you need to persuade the nobles in the East to give up targeting the South as soon as possible? If it takes a while time, not to mention the benefits are not big. The eldest princess asked. Shen Jian paused. Thinking of this good sister-in-law's sense of justice, she immediately said, "Sister-in-law, do you know what the unparalleled assassin's way is?" You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Yubuletin Chigua. Chapter 833. Is this the way of the unparalleled assassin you called your highness? A corner. The eldest princess, Aini Ya, looked at Shen Jian, who climbed into the earl's mansion with a dark look on her face, and said angrily, "Your highness, 4th prince, aren't you just breaking into a private house? What's the difference between this and being a thief? Don't blame her for reacting this way. This kind of behavior is really too cheap and too shameful. One of them is the eldest daughter of the Belchia family, one of the four holy families, and the princess who is currently married to the eldest prince, Ming Media. One is the fourth prince of royal blood and will soon become the lord of the Southern Territory. And today. But they sneaked into other people's houses like little thieves, using the method of climbing around the corner. If this was revealed, they would be completely embarrassed. The kind of person who can't hold his head up for the rest of his life. The eldest princess never imagined that the first thing she would do when she accompanied the fourth prince to the east was to climb over the wall. Even if you want to break in, you might as well use the ghost realm. Shen Jian turned over with ease and said casually, "Sister-in-law, you don't understand this. The way of an assassin is all about being lurking. Privately staying in a private house is of course commonplace. What's more, the purpose of our trip is to convince the people of the Eastern Territory. It is a great deed of great merit that the director gave up targeting the Southern Territory, and for this purpose, it is reasonable to use some extraordinary means." Shen Jian did not explain much about his behavior of circumventing the firewall. Because he was deliberately creating a secret between the two of them. The eldest prince and the eldest princess were rarely together and often separated. They were basically in a state of being apart, and their relationship was not stable at all. At this time, there was only one man around who could attract her, and he would greet her and create memories between them. Over time, the rift between husband and wife will become wider and wider. Until the straw that broke the camel's back appeared. And he already has this straw. It's bad, it just acts as a part of the process. The Eastern Territory is undoubtedly the best opportunity. Because of this, Shen Jian planned some ideas from the beginning and is gradually implementing them. Crooked. The eldest princess snorted. After thinking about it carefully, I also agreed with Shen Jian's approach. She has a sense of justice, but she is still essentially a ghost. Using unjust means to achieve just goals is acceptable in her opinion. How are you going to find the owner of this place next? When I was out for a tour, I heard some rumors about this place from the people outside. I heard that this is the manor of a man named Count Ren. This Ren the Count is withdrawn and likes to be alone, so no one else lives in the manor except the Count himself. In recent times, there have been frequent disappearances of ghosts in Winter City. Some people suspect that Earl Ren is responsible for all this. The eldest princess Ina said everything she just heard. Although it is just a suspicion, it can be discussed face to face by the citizens of Winter City. This Earl of Ren's past behavior is definitely not much better. If he really did this, he will be the next one to be judged by the sacred. Shen Jian nodded slightly. There was no rebuttal. At this time, there was a rustling sound. A few seconds later, an old man in linen clothes who looked like a servant of the Earl's mansion came out. When he saw Shen Jian and the others, the expression of the old man in linen clothes also changed and he shouted in a low voice, "Come here quickly, you are too long-lived to dare to live in this place, turn inside." The eldest princess was slightly startled. Thinking of the criminal facts of Earl Ren, he followed what the old man Mai said and asked, "Who are you? Isn't this the residence of Earl Ren? I was hired by Earl Ren to manage the manor. You should leave quickly before anything happens, otherwise it will be too late." The old man Mai looked very ugly and waved anxiously. The eldest princess said, "Something happened. Did anything big happen here? Aren't you from Winter City?" The old man in Mai paused for a moment, with a sinister smile on his face for a moment. Then he returned to his original state and explained, "Do you know about the recent disappearance of ghosts in Winter City? Some people suspect that this person is Earl Ren. I did it, so I kept an eye on it, and sure enough, the night before yesterday, I saw with my own eyes the Count carrying a body bag, and there were obvious signs of human struggle in the body bag. The next day, someone in the next street said that two more ghosts were missing. They were a man and a woman. In order to seek excitement in the middle of the night, They sneaked into other people's homes and prepared to have a sexual intercourse that would give birth to a new life. Hear this. The eldest princess trembled violently. It was such a coincidence that a man and a woman sneaked into someone else's house in the middle of the night. Are you sure you're not talking about them? Subconsciously, she looked at Shen Jian and saw that his expression was as usual. Although she had doubts in her heart, she no longer thought about it. At this time, Old Man Mai spoke again. By the way, I also drew a portrait. After you go out, remember to help me find where this couple went. It's such a pity that they are so young. Said. He first gave a meaningful sinister laugh, and then took out a portrait from his body. The portrait is in full color. The pen and ink are not wet yet, as if they were freshly baked. The eldest princess took a look, and the next second, her pupils widened and her eyes were full of horror. Because what is drawn in this portrait is not a large headshot of the missing couple, but a full-body photo. In the portrait, 2 piles of minced meat were scattered in a blood-stained garden. The most terrifying thing was that beside the 2 piles of minced meat, there was a head on each side. It was her and the 4th prince. No doubt. What appeared in the portrait was the death scene of her and the 4th prince. This is the most direct supernatural attack. Once you can't resist it, you will be eroded by the supernatural and completely dead. And with her terrifying level as a top ghost king, she was actually subjected to such a degree of supernatural curse. This is enough to show that the source of this supernatural attack has a terrifying level that is at least at the level of a top ghost king, or even higher. Even she is not safe. The eldest princess Ainiya never expected that on her first night in the East, she would encounter a crisis that could threaten her life. Just thinking about it. The old man in Mai also seemed to be very satisfied with the expression of the princess, and smiled sadly. Haha, have you seen the 2 people in the portrait? His voice became very strange. He was obviously speaking alone, but every word he spoke would echo. In a trance. The eldest princess seemed to feel that her head was moving, as if it was about to leave her body and roll down. This scene. This made her expression become more solemn. The old man Mai in front of her had a higher level of terror than her, and was probably infinitely close to the level of ghosts and gods. Even she can't escape safely without paying a certain price. However, at this time, Shen Jian took a step forward and grabbed the old man Mai's wrist. His expression became very gloomy. Ha ha ha, you discovered it? No one should know about this, it shouldn't be. My ye old man? He was confused. Ah. What was found? What shouldn't anyone know? What nonsense are you talking about? Why don't I understand some of the things I do? You, what are you talking about? Before old man Mai finished speaking, Shen Jian's tone became increasingly crazier and gradually became morbid. The craziness in it shocked both of the people present. Since you found out that I'm dead, then you deserve to die too. Shen Jian had a strange smile on his face. The words were filled with the look of someone falling into madness after seeing through his death state. Shaped like an evil ghost. Made old man. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Yu Buletin Chi Gua. Chapter 834. The old man in sackcloth lives in Bengbu. As the owner of this place and one of the top 10 directors in the East, Earl Lane has a well-known hobby, which is fishing. This fish is not that fish. What he was fishing for was some evil spirits with evil intentions. For this reason, he lived alone in this huge earl's mansion, waiting for petty thieves to sneak into his manor every day. He would be caught by him in fear and killed in various ways. This is his pleasure. And today, 2 more ghosts sneaked into his manor. As usual, he adopted new killing measures and imagined the reactions of countless infiltrators in his mind. But he never expected that the other party would actually admit it. He admitted that he was the couple who died a few days ago. He also had a weird smile on his face and wanted to kill him to keep the secret. You didn't follow the script I wrote. Old man Mai, or rather Earl Ren, could not react to Shen Jian's reaction. At this time, Shen Jian continued, that night, my sister-in-law and I secretly had an affair without telling my eldest brother at home. Damn it, I didn't expect that my eldest brother would find out. He wanted to kill me like crazy. I resisted and accidentally killed him. Big brother. The evil came from my heart. I felt that my eldest brother wanted to kill me because of such a trivial matter, which was too stingy. So, before my eldest brother was completely dead, I stayed with my sister-in-law in front of him, letting him die in peace. Expire. Originally. Shen Jian suddenly increased his tone and his expression gradually became ferocious. Originally, no one knew about this, but I died inexplicably one night. Is it you? Did you kill me? Otherwise, how could you know what happened that day? He stared at Earl Ren, his expression becoming more and more dangerous. Earl Ren's scalp felt numb. I just said you were dead. Why the hell did you make up the whole process of your death yourself? Even the causes and consequences were told in detail? And you are too immodest to be a thing. Brother-in-law and sister-in-law series. In-person series. Still forced? Killing with passion? Grass. Your delusion is not that serious. You are much better than me at playing. If I were as good at playing as you, I wouldn't be stupidly guarding infiltrators every day. Looking at Shen Jian's crazy, ferocious, twisted and gloomy look, Count Ren couldn't help but feel horrified. In his eyes, the man in front of him was basically no different from an evil ghost. It can even be said that it is more dangerous than evil spirits. Evil ghosts are simply dominated by resentment and turn into lunatics who only know how to kill people. They are easy to identify and stay away from on weekdays. And what about Shen Jian? He has the character of a madman like a devil, but he is hidden under the skin of a normal person, and there is no clue about it on ordinary days. This is the scariest thing. After all, no one knows when the other person will get sick. And now, this madman had his sights set on him. But the key is, he has never done it before. He didn't know Shen Jian at all, and the so-called death portrait was just his supernatural attack medium. Who would have thought that the other party would make up a logical truth and firmly believe it? He was wronged. No. Brother, listen to me. Count Ren tried to explain. However, Shen Jian put on a posture of if you don't listen, whoever listens is the bastard. He fumbled and took out a giant serrated sword from his body and slashed it directly. At the same time, there were waves of sinister laughter. You don't need to say anything. Only if you die can the secrets of my sister-in-law and I will never be leaked. The serrated sword came down from top to bottom, carrying the hurricane and slashing hard. There was a loud roar that broke through the sky. Count Ren's entire face changed. Become pale. In the blink of an eye, he tore off his linen clothes and stood in front of the serrated sword. Zhyla. With the sound of a rag being torn apart with force, Mai was torn in half on the spot. Earl Ren's face turned green. A heart palpitation. The ghost linen clothes on his body are the skin of a ghost and god. Enough to withstand 3 attacks from real ghosts and gods. But now, with just one attack, Oni Mai was torn apart. If this were to hit him, wouldn't it be cut in half in a matter of minutes? What kind of lunatic is this guy? I have never heard of such a ghost and god. Thinking. Count Ren began to flee. Shen Jian raised his serrated sword and chased after him. Along with it, there were bursts of sinister laughter. Princess Aini Ya. She was also confused. He was at a loss as he looked at Earl Ren and the 4th prince chasing and escaping, messy in the wind. As the daughter of a duke and a princess, she is noble and dignified. In her opinion, no matter how bold and arrogant the fourth prince is, there is a limit. After all, under the influence of palace education, it is difficult to raise a real loser. Everything seen at the Duke's mansion in the south shows that the so-called dandy and incompetent, absurd, and indulgent impression is just another side of his disguise. In fact, the fourth prince is a man of extraordinary character, knows how to tolerate, and has the appearance of a crown prince. Vertical talent. But now, she began to doubt life. Because she discovered another side of the fourth prince. It's not the wasteful and dissolute side, but the side with a bad personality, paranoia, and extremely bad taste. She couldn't help but feel a little curious. I desperately want to know, which side is the real fourth prince? Also, in addition to what he has shown so far, does the fourth prince hide other true colors? What is he really like? The more I think about it, the eldest princess became more and more curious about Shen Jian. The other side. Boom. With a roar, Earl Ren's body was smashed out like a cannonball. He fell heavily against the courtyard wall. His face was filled with despair. He regretted it. He shouldn't have shown up just now to provoke this madman. Otherwise, it wouldn't be what it is now. Just thinking about it. Shen Jian already had a serrated sword on his shoulder. He knelt down and helped Earl Ren, who was crying with tears on his face, and slapped him with a few big dicks. Wake up, I have something else to ask you. Count Ren. He was slapped several times by the sudden big dick, and he was seriously injured and almost died on the spot. The corners of his mouth twitched wildly. If you want to ask, just ask. I didn't even faint. Didn't you need to use such force to wake me up? You bitch. A gentleman's revenge is never too late. I will endure. You, what do you want to ask? I am the owner of this place and one of the directors of Winter City. My name is Earl Ren. There is nothing I don't know here. He identified himself. Because he was afraid that this hanging man with some mental problems would treat him as an ordinary ghost and just let him go after asking. In that case, he would really not be able to rest in peace until he died. Snapped. Shen Jian slapped him with a big mouth. I didn't ask you, so what's the answer? Shen Jian made a random excuse and beat him again. Count Ren. His back molars were almost broken. One of the top 10 directors of the East Territory Power and Politics Center was slapped wildly by a madman in his own home. If he said this, he would be completely disgraced. Will become the laughing stock of Winter City. I won't tolerate it any longer. Do you know what has happened in the south recently? Shen Jian asked. Earl Ren was obviously startled and nodded intermittently. Snapped. Shen Jian opened his mouth and cursed, Speak, you are mute. Count Ren had never wanted to kill someone so much in his life. Shen Jian was the first. His eyes were splitting, and his chest was heaving violently, obviously suppressing his overwhelming resentment. His voice was hoarse and he said, You know, the Duke of the Southern Territory was killed, and the fourth prince, who had never been taken seriously by anyone, suddenly emerged and occupied Eagle City in one fell swoop, becoming the Lord of the Southern Territory. Then what measures do you have here? Shen Jian asked again. Hear the question. Count Ren was excited. He raised his head sharply and stared at Shen Jian. There seemed to be thousands of thoughts connected together in his mind. Are you, the fourth prince's people? Shen Jian was non-committal, raised his palm again and said casually, I'm asking you now. No, the corners of Earl Ren's mouth moved slightly, and his resentful eyes slowly lowered. You are lying. At this time, the eldest princess on the side said coldly. Those emerald-like eyes were shining brightly at this moment. You, here, are you from the Belkia family? You are from the eldest prince's side. Earl Ren's pupils trembled. Emerald eyes are a characteristic of the Belkia family, one of the four holy families, and only direct bloodlines have such dazzling emerald eyes. From what he understood, the Belchia family supported the eldest prince. The eldest princess is the eldest daughter of the family. Think of this. His face looked uncertain. Seeing that Shen Jian was ready to serve him, in desperation, he could only say hastily, "There are measures." Just 2 days ago, the second prince gave a battle plan for the southern border, but this proposal is still under discussion. Not passed yet. If the eldest prince also plans to target the southern territory, I can serve as a recommender and invite you to participate in the discussion and jointly attack the fourth prince, so that the southern territory snapped. The words have not yet finished. Shen Jian's big mouth slapped him again. You go too far to deceive ghosts. Isn't it because the eldest prince sent you here just to know if the second prince in the east has any plans to join forces? Your behavior is destroying the fragile alliance between us. Does the eldest prince know? Count Ren couldn't bear it anymore. He roared with a ferocious face. The tone was full of grievance. Princess. She couldn't stand it anymore. The fourth prince really plans to kill this count. If one duke dies, the divine judgment will be triggered. If a few more die, the divine judgment will no longer be needed. The fourth prince will be escorted directly back to the royal city to await his execution. She couldn't just watch things get worse. Immediately, she touched Shen Jian lightly. His eyes indicate, "Your Highness, have you had enough fun?" Shen Jian helplessly spread his hands. "Okay, let's get down to business," said. Shen Jian also took off his disguise. The original black hair and black eyes returned to their dazzling golden appearance at this moment. That moment, Count Ren was struck by lightning. Blonde hair, golden eyes, royal blood. At first, he thought of the eldest prince, but gave up the idea the next second. Because the eldest prince doesn't look like this. He had seen the second prince from time to time, but he didn't look like this. In the king's trial, apart from the eldest prince and the second prince, there was only one fourth prince left. At once, his heart trembled violently. You are the fourth prince." When he said this, Earl Ren's voice was trembling. He never expected that the fourth prince did not stay in the southern border to rectify the local forces, but traveled thousands of miles to the eastern border. This incident was beyond everyone's expectations. No. Isn't he afraid that he will be exposed, leading to the pursuit of the second prince, and losing the current good situation? How dare he come here? Earl Ren's mind was filled with questions and he was completely unable to understand what Shen Jian had done. Then, he said in shock, "Are you the fourth prince? What do you want to do when you come to the eastern border? Are you sure the eastern border will take action against the southern border?" "Well, forget it," Shen Jian said casually, "but more importantly, I am here to persuade you to give up this decision." Earl Ren paused for a while, then hesitantly said, "You mean, you are here to set conditions and prepare us to give up the second prince and support you instead?" Shen Jian sincerely praised, "Not too stupid. Count Ren." He looked at his miserable situation, then at Shen Jian who was smiling, and couldn't hold himself any longer. "What the hell, are you sincere in coming to me for cooperation just to beat me up? Is this sincerity? Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace." Author, Shi Buletin Chi Gua. Chapter 835. This time, the old man in Mai was confused again. He looked at Shen Jian in disbelief. "It's like there are 100,000 grass and mud horses galloping in my heart." After learning that the man in front of him was actually the lord of the southern territory, the dark horse fourth prince who suddenly appeared in the king's trial, he imagined several possibilities. For example, to gather information, to prepare to find out the layout of the eastern territory so that we can send troops to conquer, to kill several eastern territory nobles to muddy the waters. But he alone did not think of it. Shen Jian actually came to ask for support. The king's trial did not explicitly say that it cannot gain support from nobles in other territories, but the trial only lasts for 5 years. Within 5 years, whether you can manage your own territory well is a question. Even if you have outstanding abilities, you will only be able to control the scope of your territory. Expand to a single territory. In this case, even if he gets the support of the other 4 realm nobles, it will not be able to quench his thirst. Unless someone can take over one of the 4 realms within 5 years, they will want to get the support of the nobles from other territories. Only. It's so hard. There has never been a precedent. Even the current king can barely manage the entire territory when it comes to governing the northern territory. But then I thought about it. The unification of the southern territory by the 4 princes has become a fact. All that is missing is time. In this situation, it seems very reasonable to come to the east to instigate rebellion against them. But, the more he thinks about it, the less Earl Ren understands it. No. How dare you hit Party A's father when you come to ask for cooperation? Aren't you afraid that I will put on your little shoes? Besides, is this how you ask for support? Even if you are a prince and the lord of the southern territory, should your attitude be more humble and humble? Immediately, Earl Ren endured his anger and stood up directly. Nothing else. Just have the confidence. He is one of the top 10 directors in the East. The 4th prince wants to get the support of the Eastern noble Freemasonry and quietly contact other directors without attracting the attention of the 2nd prince. He needs to turn to him for help. How can one not feel aggrieved when asking for help from others? Not to mention, he just gave Shen Jian a good beating, so the 4th prince thought he was a nobody. However, the next second, Shen Jian was already cursing and placed the serrated sword across his shoulder. With a little force, Earl Ren knelt down directly. What are you standing up for? Kneel down, you haven't agreed yet. Count Ren. He froze. He even forgot the pain of his knees hitting the ground violently. Looking at Shen Jian, he had a puzzled expression. You ask someone to do something, and you want me to kneel down and agree. Damn it! You are too domineering. Should I kneel down to help you? You are so awesome and coaxing, why don't you just go to the palace and ask the king to kneel down and beg you to succeed? He can't fix it anymore. The previous momentum collapsed. 4th prince, what do you want to do? Earl Ren hissed. Can't you hear it? Aren't you from the eastern region planning to take action against the southern region? I don't agree with it. I will withdraw this decision and instead kick out the 2nd prince and support me. Shen Jian said with a smile. The serrated sword in his hand was placed on Earl Ren's neck, and he was a little closer. Earl Ren could even feel the cold light coming from this supernatural weapon, which stung his skin and made him dare not move. He broke into a cold sweat. At that time, the knife was only 0.01 centimeters away from my neck, but after 3 seconds, the owner of the knife would give up the idea. Because I rebelled. Wait a minute, Your Highness the 4th Prince, I am willing, I will switch my name to you and choose to support you. Earl Ren said quickly. He was afraid that if he slowed down even a second, the knife would chop off his dog's head. It's not that he has no backbone, it's the 4th Prince who has no bottom line. For a guy who can make others kneel down to help him when asking for help, who dares to say that the other person's brain circuit must be normal? He didn't dare to gamble with his own life. Wise choice. Shen Jian let go of the serrated sword, patted Earl Ren's shoulder with great satisfaction, and showed a done look to the princess's sister-in-law. Princess Aina Ya. She couldn't help but hold her forehead. The unfolding of the story was really beyond her expectation. It gave her a sense of déjà vu. This is ridiculous, but it makes sense. Only Is this kind of support obtained through coercion and inducement really reliable? Isn't the fourth prince afraid that Earl Ren will agree to switch to him 1 second, but will reveal the matter to the second prince the next second, causing the entire Eastern Territory to hunt him down? That's what I thought. She saw Shen Jian reaching out and waving a cross, and a cross was formed out of thin air. With another finger, a bright beam of light condensed into a point and disappeared into the cross. Subsequently, Shen Jian handed the cross to Count Ren and said, "This is a token. Wearing it means that you are already mine. When the time comes, you will know that everyone wearing the cross is one of my own." Earl Ren took it hesitantly and put it on his neck. "What will happen if I take it off?" Shen Jian said nothing. Instead, he picked it off for him. Next moment, an extremely solid bright beam shot out from the cross and penetrated Earl Ren's arm. A hole-like wound was left. "Take it off and that's it?" Shen Jian said, neither salty nor lightly. "Count Ren." He was stunned. "God is like this. I'm just asking. Can't you just tell me the consequences? Who told you to really try? And just give it a try. Why are you trying it on me? It's not you who dares to feel pain. You damn soul. If he turns to such an unreliable prince, will his old age really be unknown?" For a while, Count Ren began to worry about his future. "See this?" Shen Jian comforted him, "Don't worry, it'll be fine if you don't pick it off. Also, I aimed this attack at your head. Now I only hurt my hand. You should be happy." Earl Ren's lips twitched slightly. "Haha, do I still have to thank you? I'm sorry, it's all thanks to you that I'm not dead." This time, he completely gave up the idea of talking to Shen Jian. Tired? The princess on the side also warned Shen Jian not to go too far. After all, he was an earl and one of the 10 most prestigious directors in the East, so he still had to be polite. "See this?" Shen Jian asked about the business. "Among your top 10 directors, who are the ones closest to the second prince? Are there any who can't get over it?" Earl Ren paused. He glanced at Shen Jian cautiously. "What can't be turned around? Isn't this the type of person who is die-hardly loyal to the second prince?" "No, in fact, the relationship between the royal family and the nobles of the Four Realms is not very close. Although the second prince occupies a place in our Eastern Freemasonry and seems to have the support of many nobles, if it harms us we will simply put down our burden and stop playing for the sake of our own interests. Among them, it may be that the eldest prince in the East is the one who really has the support of the nobles and has gone all the way." Earl Ren explained. "Why?" "Because the eldest prince's grandfather is the Duke of the Western region." "Hear the words?" Shen Jian glanced at the eldest princess. "Nod slightly. As long as you don't have die-hard loyalists, it will save me the trouble of having to put on a sack." "Say it." Shen Jian stood up. He warned earnestly, "Go back and think about whether any of these 10 people have a good relationship with you, and try to persuade them. Otherwise, when I come to your door, I will inevitably give you a severe beating. You are the first to join me. Are you touched by this privilege?" "Count Ren." "Move." I was so moved. Not only did I become a traitor, but I was also allowed to instigate other people to become traitors. You really made the best use of everything. In his resentful eyes, he watched Shen Jian leave here step by step, not taking a single cloud with him, but bringing him both physical and psychological torture. Out of the manor, Shen Jian returned to his black hair and eyes again. The emerald eyes of Princess Enya also became dim. The two of them were walking on the streets of Winter City. Many ghosts around looked at him. They were immediately recognized as 2 foreign ghosts. After all, if someone in Winter City had this kind of appearance, it would be difficult for them not to be discovered. Especially the princess, who is seductively dressed in a professional uniform, has a 100% chance of turning heads. Apparently, the eldest Princess Ainiya also discovered this phenomenon. She lowered her head slightly. Normally, she wouldn't be afraid of this sight. But now, she was in the Eastern Territory, on the territory of the second prince. Once discovered, she would definitely be captured and used as a hostage to threaten her husband. Not to mention, she also didn't want to bring trouble to the fourth prince. At this time, Shen Jian lowered his head and whispered in her ear, "Sister-in-law, I'm offended." Said. The eldest Princess Ainiya noticed that Shen Jian reached out and held her in his arms, letting her lean on the man's chest, helping her to resist a large number of malicious eyes. Moment. A strong masculine scent hit my nostrils, which was warm. At once, she froze. The next second, her pretty face immediately turned red. Somewhat overwhelmed, I wanted to struggle out. "Don't move, sister-in-law, you don't want us to be hunted down by the Eastern Territory because of your own reasons. Hear this." The eldest Princess Ainiya's struggling movements were stagnant. He muttered, "What's my reason? I'm not exposed. Of course it's because sister-in-law, you are so beautiful. There are so many ghosts in the East. There are always ghosts who have been to the royal city and seen my sister-in-law's peerless beauty. The more ghosts you see now, the higher the risk of exposure." Shen Jian made excuses. "Enjoy the first embrace of this wonderful sister-in-law." Hear the words. The eldest princess's expression became even more shy. "But I can't find any good reason to refute it." She could only let Shen Jian hug her. She knew that in the eyes of outsiders, they must look like a close couple. Even walking is so awkward. But in fact, there is no relationship between them at all. Some are just family relationships between brother-in-law and sister-in-law. But think about it carefully. The eldest Princess Ainiya suddenly thought that her husband, the eldest prince, never seemed to get along with her like this. She had never experienced this kind of fun that could only be enjoyed between young lovers with the eldest prince. After all, her husband is the eldest prince of the kingdom, so how could he walk with her and cuddle up to each other like an ordinary couple? If the people of the kingdom see it, they will definitely think that the great prince of a country is immersed in the love of his children and will delay state affairs. Therefore, she had never felt anything like jealousy, and she had never thought that she could also enjoy this kind of tenderness. Now, it was with her husband's younger brother that she experienced this rare warmth. I have to say, this is very ironic. Think of this. She subconsciously leaned closer, lowered her head slightly, and let her weight rest on her brother-in-law. The other side. Favorability add 1. Favorability add 1. Shen Jian looked at the increasing favorability, and the strange color in his eyes deepened. Princess Ainiya. Current status, warmth, complexity and entanglement. Favorability, 39, friendly. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shiyu Buletin Chigua. Chapter 836. Eastern Border, Winter City. Shen Jian looked at the rising favorability with strange eyes. If Princess Ainiya looked up at this moment, she would find an unconcealable smile on the face of the brother-in-law in front of her. Favorability, 43, friendly. He never expected that he would achieve such remarkable results on the first day he entered the Eastern Territory. It seems that his elder brother really doesn't treat his sister-in-law very well. In other words, in the eyes of the eldest prince, in the trial of the king, the importance of the crown prince's position is far more important than a wife. And the wedding of the two was scheduled before the start of the king's trial, in order to join forces with the Belkia family and gain more protection in the battle for the crown prince. Under such circumstances, I am afraid that I am not in the mood to want the eldest prince to be romantic. But that's just fine. If the eldest brother doesn't know how to love his wife, then he, the brother-in-law, should take over the husband's duties for the eldest brother and let the eldest sister-in-law tolerate his specialties. Just thinking about it? The eldest Princess Iniya in her arms said coldly, "Your Royal Highness the fourth prince, your purpose of coming to the Eastern Territory is not simply to make the Eastern Territory noble Freemasonry give up targeting the Southern Territory. You want to take advantage of this window period to join the Eastern border." Before anyone could react, the Eastern Territory was also in their hands. Shen Jian did not refute. He nodded slightly. You can't hide this kind of thing, and besides, he doesn't need to hide it. After hearing the affirmative reply, the good sister-in-law sighed, and a warm breeze blew on Shen Jian's chest, making him feel itchy. What? Sister-in-law, are you worried about Brother Wang? Shen Jian said casually. He is not your opponent. Moment. The eldest princess said quietly. The purpose of her coming to the south was to use the privileges of the Belchia family to make a divine judgment on the fourth prince and buy time for her husband to make plans. But now, there is still some time before the divine judgment. Under normal circumstances, the fourth prince should be under her supervision at this time. Even if the Southern Territory is reorganized, not much can be accomplished in a month. But the fourth prince did the opposite. At a time when the Southern Territory had not been truly unified, he chose to go to the Eastern Territory. The purpose seemed to be to dissuade the Eastern nobles from giving up targeting the Southern Territory, but in fact he planned to kick out the second prince and bring them to the east. The Eastern Territory is also included in the scope of control. This is a crazy idea. If anything goes wrong, the originally good situation will be ruined and he will become the first eliminated in the trial of fighting for the king. But the transfer of Count Ren gave this seemingly crazy plan an excellent start, and also allowed the princess to see the possibility of completing the plan. If it succeeds, the fourth prince will become the first person in the history of the king's trial to unify the two realms of the east and the south at the same time, becoming the undisputed winner. By then, no matter how dissatisfied her husband is, he can't change the outcome. In this regard, the brother-in-law in front of her has already walked in front of her husband, and is walking farther and farther, and soon other royal heirs will not be able to see his back. Sister-in-law, if you feel embarrassed, you can tell me and I promise not to take the initiative to attack Brother Wang. Of course, if Brother Wang takes the initiative to attack me out of ignorance, I will not show mercy. Shen Jian smiled. Some eagerly looked at the good sister-in-law in front of her. It seemed that as long as she said a word, she would give up the idea of dealing with the eldest prince. Hear the words. The eldest Princess Ainaya paused, struggling out of Shen Jian's arms. Lower your head. In silence. For a long time. Only then did I hear a murmur, why are you doing this? This must be the second time I have met you, His Highness the Fourth Prince. I think the relationship between us has not reached this level yet. Shen Jian's face did not blush, his heart did not beat, and his expression was sincere, because, I like my sister-in-law. I regretted it from the first time I saw her. What do you regret? I regret why I didn't meet my sister-in-law earlier. If I had met my sister-in-law before Brother Wang, I would definitely try my best to snatch you from Brother Wang. Especially, Brother Wang doesn't know how to cherish you. Not only did I not let you sister-in-law, you live an enviable life, and it even puts you in danger. To be honest, I really want to beat Brother Wang now. Speaking of which, Shen Jian's voice became deeper. Like a defeated lion licking its wounds alone. Of course, the diss words from the eldest prince are also indispensable. Hear this. With a swish sound, The eldest princess's expression became stunned, and then a trace of panic appeared on her face. His heart was beating violently, and his yin energy was surging. If she understood correctly, the fourth prince liked her? Is it just that the image he pretended to be at that time was too disreputable and there was no chance of success at all, so he just watched the woman he liked marrying someone else? Think of this. She had to admit that she was panicked and confused. Anyone who hears someone confessing to themselves will be a little shocked subconsciously, let alone this person is his brother-in-law. After a brief trance, she was about to speak. Shen Jian had already collected his emotions first, showed a sad smile, waved his hand and said, "Sister-in-law, don't take it too seriously. I'm not expecting a response. I just said what I said, it's just psychological talk. I will keep a distance from you, sister-in-law, but I hope that sister-in-law will allow me to stay by your side, even if I don't do anything, just look at you quietly, I am already satisfied." Shen Jian expressed great satisfaction with this instant confession. If we change the scene, he is undoubtedly the tragic second male lead in the TV series. He is rich, good-looking, and powerful. He is also loyal to the heroine and will never marry for the rest of his life. He is willing to do anything for the heroine unconditionally. He will also bless the man. The relationship between the protagonist and the heroine. Anyone who sees it is not allowed to give a thumbs up and say you are a licking dog. Certainly. That's what it looks like to outsiders. For the person involved, it is difficult not to be moved by having such a male lead next to him. What he is doing now is to create such a tragic character. After saying this, Shen Jian said no more. Acting as such a dead-licking dog image. The other side. Along the way, the eldest princess Ainiya was in a state of confusion. From time to time, she looked up at her brother-in-law who was protecting her from any danger. His delicate and pretty face was full of complexity. She had never thought that the fourth prince actually loved her and was willing to protect her without asking for any price. The ending of such a poignant fantasy story made her unable to calm down for a long time. But soon, she forcibly gave up these thoughts. After all, she is already the wife of the eldest prince and the eldest princess of this kingdom. There is no possibility between her and the fourth prince. Instead of getting entangled and suffering from each other in the future, it is better to cut off this strand of love as soon as possible. It seems. You have to find time to talk to the fourth prince about this matter. At this time, roadside, a weak voice sounded. "Young man, can you help me?" The eldest princess looked. On the path to the left, a ghost with dismembered legs was standing on the side of the road, seemingly preparing to cross the road, and in his hand, he was holding a broken bowl. It seems that this is a beggar ghost who is preparing to cross the road, but because his legs are dismembered, it is inconvenient, so he seeks help from others. Looking at the horror level again, the red-coded level doesn't even have a ghost realm, no wonder it needs help. Subconsciously, she was ready to help. However, abruptly, she caught a glimpse of Shen Jian's intriguing expression from the corner of her eye and was immediately excited. The steps he had taken suddenly stopped. Just as he was about to make a gesture with his eyes and ask, the next second, another voice sounded from directly in front. The voice was cold and full of sarcasm. A man dressed as a minor nobleman stepped forward. "Are all ghosts from out of town so rude? Old man, let me help you," said. The man helped the beggar ghost and walked across it to the other side. From time to time, he turned around and said contemptuously, "Today's outsiders are so unqualified. They turn a blind eye when someone else asks for help. This moral standard is too low. I hope you will be like this when you are old and disabled. No one wants to help you." The eldest princess's face sank. Helping is a matter of affection, not helping is a duty. In this world, helping is a very risky thing. After all, no one knows whether the process of helping someone will be attacked by a supernatural being. Even if she doesn't help, no one can say anything. But this man ignored him and scolded her every time. No matter how good-tempered she was, she couldn't help but feel a little angry. Rear. Shen Jian was indifferent. A posture of sit back and watch the show. In his eyes, the beggar ghost is not the red-clothed one on the surface, but a top ghost king. The man who curses is not a ghost king, but a top ghost king who is infinitely close to ghosts and gods. Such two top ghost kings, even if they were placed in the Winter City, were not unknown, so how could they bump into them by such a coincidence? No doubt. The other party is just here for them. Identity exposed. Wrong. Shen Jian shook his head. If their identities were exposed, it wouldn't just be the two top ghost kings who would come. This looks like Earl Ren is looking for fun? And from what I heard, I was looking for ghosts from out of town. Think of this. Shen Jian had some speculations. Thinking. Something unexpected happened in the middle of the road. A luxury carriage pulled by ghost horses was running rampant on the road. By chance, it hit two beggar ghosts who were crossing the road, knocking them several meters away. Subsequently, the people in the carriage walked away as if they didn't see it. At this time, the beggar ghost immediately stopped moving after being hit violently, and the supernatural fluctuations were gradually dissipating. The little nobleman's legs were crushed into several sections, and he struggled to crawl on the roadside. The supernatural wave was also extremely weak. See this scene. The eldest princess turned pale. He looked at Shen Jian as if asking for help. Shen Jian was also stunned. Then the corner of his mouth curved into a strange arc. The nobles of Winter City are quite good at playing. Chain said. If he guessed correctly, the next step would be. Just thinking about it? The next second. The young aristocratic man whose legs were crushed into several sections by the carriage looked towards them, his eyes were vicious and cold, and he wailed, "It's all your fault, this is all your fault. If you had just sent the old man to the road a minute earlier, on the other side, this accident would not have happened. You guys from out of town are really not good people." The words fell on both sides of the road. Many passers-by cast their eyes on the eldest princess and Shen Jian, their eyes full of complaints. You. The eldest princess also had a cold expression. Are you bullying people from out of town? Is Winter City so exclusive? The words are not finished yet. Shen Jian had already walked out and stopped in front of the princess. He smiled strangely and said, "I'll handle it. I'm the best at handling disputes." End of chapter. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Yubuletin Chigua. Chapter 837. On the road. The little aristocratic man who was knocked out crawled back in a strange manner. His right leg was crushed into several sections by the carriage and fell to the ground as soft as mud. His left leg was raised high and twisted several times like a twist, and he stood up with a deformed movement. A bloody grimace turned 180 degrees and stared at Shen Jian and the eldest princess on the side of the road. "It's all your fault. You are so cruel. You have caused so much harm to us." The little aristocratic man spoke in a sinister tone. The deformed body moved little by little. This scene. The resulting visual effects are terrifying enough. The passers-by ghosts on both sides also began to blame themselves. He looks like a human being, but I didn't expect his thoughts to be so vicious. The more beautiful something is, the more sinister it is. It seems this sentence is true. Go away, we in Winter City don't welcome you ghosts with no moral qualities. Hey, what a sin. Two good ghosts. One is dead and the other is disabled. I don't know what to do in the future. The accusing voices of the ghosts are everywhere. They are fighting against the eldest princess and Shen Jian together. This time, the face of the eldest princess Aini became even colder. Equally gloomy and terrifying. Although she couldn't tell that the two ghosts that were knocked away were both top ghost kings, she was fully aware of the other's behavior of randomly looking for trouble. Before I did it, it was out of ghostism. She will compensate appropriately with some thriller coins. But now, she can't even move her pussy. What? Do you think you are not wrong? Do you still have a heart? If everyone in this world was like you, this kingdom would have fallen apart long ago. The little nobleman continued. The gloominess in his words was no longer concealed. The passers-by and ghosts around are also gearing up. There is a sense of déjà vu that if I don't express my gratitude, I won't be able to leave today. You. The eldest princess Aini raised her eyebrows. The eyes are malicious. She was a member of the four holy families and the eldest princess of the Eli Empire, but now she was betrayed in the East. Yes. This is simply frivolous. They are bullying them because they are from out of town and isolated. If it weren't for her important identity and her distinctive features under the supernatural force, she would have wished she could have unleashed the supernatural threat of a top ghost king right now to teach this group of people a lesson. At this time, Shen Jian patted this good sister-in-law on the shoulder and motioned to leave everything to him. Subsequently, he walked out. He strode to the side of the road and looked at the little aristocratic man crawling in the darkness with interest. Brother, don't get excited. Your situation is not hopeless, said. Shen Jian took out a blood-stained white coat and put it on. Look, I'm a doctor. If I say you're fine, you'll be fine. The little nobleman was stunned. Strange. He unexpectedly met a ghost doctor and gave others the opportunity to have a professional counterpart. That's what I thought. The man suddenly caught a glimpse of the words embroidered on the collar of Shen Jian's white coat, Huangquan Ward, 3rd Mental Hospital, patient number 16. He was stunned. Mental hospital. Patient number 16? Damn it. Are you a doctor? Are you sure it wasn't a mental patient who slipped through the doctor's white coat? Think of this. The little nobleman choked. He blinked in disbelief, as if he thought he had seen it wrong. Take another look. The words above are clearly visible. It is indeed patient number 16. Grass. This guy is a psychopath. Thinking. He heard Shen Jian talking in a very professional manner. You have broken a leg, but you can still move and walk without any pain. This shows that your injury is very serious. The ghost brain subconsciously secretes stimulating substances to the human body. The supernatural substance helped you cover your injuries, but once the supernatural substance is secreted and cannot be properly handled, you will soon die on the spot. Little nobleman. The corners of his mouth twitched slightly. God is so seriously injured. He was obviously pretending. Even though he had a broken leg, the actual damage had already been transferred away, it just looked scary. Confirmed. This neurosis has nothing to do with doctors. It's all nonsense. But you can't play with this, but the female ghost next to you can play with it. Even if she is a lunatic who runs away, considering how beautiful she is, they can't accept it. I have played with women a lot, but this is the first time I have seen a mental patient. Think of this. The young aristocratic man ignored Shen Jian and focused on the eldest princess. See this? Shen Jian suddenly said, you want to go to the roadside? That's right. It's too dangerous to stand in the middle of the road and talk. I'll help you. The words fell. Shen Jian took the initiative to step forward and grab the man's wrist. The next second, before the man could react, Shen Jian dragged him to the roadside, picking up the beggar ghost pretending to be a corpse and dragging him along. Little nobleman. Damn it. Are you so rude? Is this what you call support? The brain circuits of mentally ill patients are too unpredictable. The little nobleman's bloody face was completely black, and the resentment in his eyes deepened. He is an earl and one of the directors of Eastern Territory. What he likes most is bullying those from out of town in this way. What he likes to see the most is the anger of the out-of-town ghosts who are very angry, but there is nothing they can do about him. This is much more interesting than killing people. But in the process of his imagination, there was absolutely no picture of being dragged away by a mentally ill person. Damn it! This bitch must have had to work hard to grow up. He couldn't even struggle. With this thought, the little nobleman was quickly thrown to the side of the road. Shen Jian looked at it carefully and gave a guidance plan. There are no treatment equipment here, so it is difficult for me to operate on you, but your situation is not optimistic and your life may be in danger at any time, so I have to take some radical measures. Just when the man was wondering what radical measures meant, a strong pain hit him. He looked down with a pained look on his face. Shen Jian stepped on his left leg, and Pei Ran pressed down with great force, trampling his intact left leg into a pulp. Little nobleman? He was confused. Is this a radical measure? How can you be so radical? Isn't this going to kill me? Which good person needs to crush the patient's intact leg when taking rescue measures? Besides, you are really strong as an elephant. He can crush the left leg of one of my top ghost kings with one foot. Ah! Under the intense pain, the man wailed, "What are you doing? What are you doing on horseback?" Shen Jian explained, "Brother, I am saving you. The supernatural substance secreted by your brain is almost used up. Once it stops, you will freeze on the spot, so I can only use this method to stimulate your brain to produce supernatural substances again material, and buy time for rescue. Don't worry. In addition to this foot, you also have 2 hands. If it doesn't work, just take off the lower body. I promise, you will survive." Shen Jian beat the chicken blood. "Little nobleman. What the hell, do you really want me to be disabled? It's too doggy. I finally know why you were admitted to the mental hospital. With your condition, a mental hospital would actually release someone. How much money did you have to pay to get out? It's best that I don't find this underworld ward, otherwise I will definitely beat the dean there to death. Jerov, how long are you going to pretend to be dead? There's something wrong with this lunatic. He's hiding his strength." The little nobleman howled ghostly. What he was referring to was, of course, the beggar ghost who had been pretending to be dead since he was knocked away. Like him, the other party is an Earl of the East and one of the directors. He deals with corpses all day long and is also a complete psychopath. Recently, the other party has become obsessed with pretending to be corpses. The more miserable they are, the more interesting they are. Then, the 2 of them hit it off immediately. One is made of porcelain, and the other is made of porcelain material. He has defeated many ghosts from other places and has a remarkable record. Hear sounds. Shen Jian promptly turned his attention to the beggar ghost whose legs were dismembered. "You mean he's been pretending to be dead? That doesn't seem like it. He must be on the verge of death, but it's okay. I can save him." Shen Jian laughed. Before the beggar ghost's body moved, he stepped on the opponent's chest step by step. At once, the beggar ghost's body shook on the spot, as if he was trembling. "He is still responsive and can be saved." Shen Jian gave a conclusion. "Little nobleman. Beggar ghost. Gan. If you save me, you may have some serious illness. Don't be like this, we're afraid." The little aristocratic man wanted to cry but had no tears. Misreading. Although this person from out of town is a psychopath, he is actually a mental patient with terrifying abilities. Not only can he crush his legs with one kick, but he can also suppress beggar ghosts of the same level as him. The terror level of the other party is at least infinitely close to the level of ghosts and gods, or even a ghost. Besides, such a result must not be caused. Brother, we are grateful that you want to save us. I know a place. Do you want us to go there and treat it? The young aristocratic man began to follow Shen Jian's wishes and suggested. Oh, where is it? It's the tallest building over there. I know there are the most advanced medical equipment there, which can give you a chance to show off your skills. The man pointed into the distance with a sinister look in his eyes. That place is the headquarters of the noble Freemasonry. Among the top 10 directors in the East, except for the 2 of them and a lonely Earl of Ren, the remaining 7 people all live there. As long as you go there, even if this lunatic is a ghost, you won't be afraid. Okay, let's go there. Shen Jian agreed immediately. Without any hesitation. Dragging the man with one hand and the beggar with the other, they walked straight in the direction of their destination. The 2 earls looked at each other, with nothing but hatred and gloom in their eyes. He is indeed a lunatic. There was not even a doubt about what they said. This way, the possibility of Shen Jian deliberately playing tricks on them was ruled out. This damn Hundan would be tortured by them when they arrived at their base camp. Think of this. Both of them smiled. When he pulled at the wound, he couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air, and his smile became even more ugly. Behind. The eldest Princess Ainiya no longer knew how to express her feelings. I can only follow behind like a little follower. How dare you make such a big noise on other people's territory? If she guessed correctly, the place these 2 ghosts were pointing to was the center of political power in Winter City. Not only did it contain the core power of the entire Eastern Territory, but even the top combat power was located here. According to her understanding of the 4 major realms of the kingdom, the number of ghosts and gods in each realm is no less than 3, scattered throughout the major territories. The division of forces in the east is special, and the 3 ghosts and gods are likely to be in the same place. In other words, once a huge commotion is caused, the 4th prince will probably face more than 3 ghosts and gods joining forces to attack him. This brother-in-law really doesn't make people worry.